Hey guys, I've had a couple comments on my recent videos about shaky camera work. One guy commented that he was feeling a little vertigo. Um, so I'm going to make a concerted effort to use my tripod a little bit more, and hopefully that shakiness will go away. But I have my compressor here dry fit, so I'll reposition the camera and I'll give you a shot. Alright, so I will bring you in for a little bit closer shot on some of this. But I just wanted to give you a big overview first. Um, I cast these aluminum parts, and I had a little bit of a short cast on all of them, but I was able to machine them flat, get them to sit down, and then I drilled and I screwed them all to this board. The original plan was just to use these brackets and then put some steel on it. And I put this board on at last second just because it struck me. I saw it in a corner and cut it off to the right size. As you can see, it goes all the way back. And I think it kind of turns the project in from like an industrial design to more of an artistic design, just having that wood there. And I may pull that off, finish it somehow. But I haven't really decided what I want to do with it yet, so I'm just leaving it as it is. From there we go up to the brackets I already mentioned. I bent some steel both in the front and the back. Um, 2 screws on each one. Although I broke the screw off on this one, so I'm just going to put a little plug weld in there. Uh, from there we go to our canisters. Um, these are originally oxygen canisters, and doing a little bit of math on the density of oxygen versus its weight, these canisters are 2.1 ounces, and that math comes out to, I believe, 600 pounds per canister, 600 psi. Since I plan on running this machine under 500, that will be no problem, because if they're holding 600 pounds, they're rated to at least 1,000. Um, and then like I mentioned, I have the steel bands around there just to measure and bend. Use the original mounting hardware from this compressor to put it on here. Fairly simple to do. Actually, when they built this guy, they made the feet exactly 4 inches apart on the sides, and I believe it was exactly 7.5 inches on the front. So that made it real easy to measure and install. I don't have a plug, proper cord yet. That'll be coming. Yeah, I may actually just chop off the original. This is the original cord that came with the fridge. And what I might do is I might just chop that off and put the ends on it. It's just spade connectors on the inside there. The plumbing, I don't know if you can see very well here, but I have a 1/4 inch compression to 1/4 inch pipe thread into a 1/4 inch T. Why am I bothering with quarter? Everything's 1/4 inch except for the ends here, and I'll explain that. Um, this guy right here, make sure you can still see that. Yep. This piece right here is a check valve. Um, I'll give you a close-up look, but it does have an arrow to indicate the flow direction. And what that'll do is it'll stop the gas in here from coming back up. And that way, with this guy, take that off and show you. This is just a ball valve, a little tiny ball valve. And this is probably the weakest part of the whole system. It's designed for a regular house compressor. I'm pretty sure it'll do 500 psi, but we'll have to see. But with this check valve in here, I can release the pressure inside this line, and that'll allow my compressor to kick back on. Because if this line is pressurized, the compressor does not have enough power to actually start up again. 90 degree, quarter inch, etc. Through several T's. And then that goes into a quarter inch to quarter inch compression fitting, just like this one, which goes into a copper tube, which goes through. I'll put a link to the video where I made these tanks, but it goes through this compression fitting all the way into the bottom of the tank. The original plan was to have this fitting go all the way down to the very bottom corner, but because I had to bend these up considerably, they're about an inch from the bottom of the tank, and they're not actually sitting on the lowest part of the tank yet. I still have to fix that. That's about it. Like I said, the tube goes through there. All I did to convert these tanks was I drilled out, I think it's 11 30-seconds, but don't quote me on that. And then I ran an 1/8 inch pipe thread tap through that. Over here, you may have noticed this little shiny bit. I had this guy hanging around. This is just a fill regulator thing for air conditioning on a car. So all I did was I took the quick connect that sits in here and I JB welded it to this inlet, and I took and I JB welded a I think it's an 1/8 inch or possibly a quarter inch tubing connector onto the end of that, and I got a little needle valve here. All that does is that fits on there, and then I can suck a vacuum and I can watch the needle drop. And I did a little bit of testing on this. I can get down to about 27 inches of mercury. I think that's what it is. Hg. I think that's mercury. But I can get down to about 27. And then all I would do is I connect the inlet tube from my catchment system, which I'll explain in an upcoming video. And I can crack this valve open just a bit. And I can maintain that vacuum as it's sucking by just flicking the machine on every once in a while. And did a little bit of testing. Everything works out pretty good. On the inlet side, I should say. This is fully fitted, but not fully assembled yet. Fully taped. So I'm going to do that, and maybe I'll show you that when it's done. Oh, one last note. I do have a gauge that sits right there. Problem is, the needle fell off of my gauge. So I'm going to have to go back to the store and exchange that for a new one. Alright, so it's fully assembled now. Took a little finagling to get these in properly. And I had a leak on this side. I had to take this one out and retape it. But this is the hose that I have. Give you a look at the numbers here. It's a 1/4 inch, 5,000 psi hydraulic hose. So it'll do 500 pounds, no problem. And that's going to go in right here. I've taken a spare gauge I have, just put it on the top here. You can't see it, but I'll give you a look in a second. This is actually currently pressurized to about 100 pounds. I'll give you a look at how I actually pressurize it. Let's let off some air. Alright, now the whole system's at 80 pounds. And if I go to hit the switch here, I've got a little switch. There it is. Okay. Oh, look at that, it actually came on. I didn't actually expect it to come on. I guess it's a little bit more powerful than I expected. But what I would do when this is charged up to its full pressure, I open this valve, bleed off the air in this area right here, close that valve, so that way there's zero, there's 1 atmosphere here, and 100 pounds here, but it would be 3 or 4, 5. And then you turn it on. And you pressurize. Oh well. And that's basically it. I think I'll wait till next week to demonstrate this guy. And I'll probably show you my catchment system at the same time. So with that, you guys have yourselves a good day.